For anybody who is not familiar, these are stand-up scooters. They give it a delicate kick start, and there's a small electric motor that powers your trip. Generally, where these exist, you can park them anywhere within a service area, whether it be the city, the region, a collection of cities. And you access them using your phone. So using a mobile app to unlock the scooter. And there's all different ways to work with the company, engage the company, earn points, and use the scooter for all your trips. So this is an open question for us. What does it mean for the Active Transportation Alliance? What does it mean for our mission to create healthier, more equitable, and more sustainable communities? There's lots of people who have opinions on that matter, but I don't think anyone really has an answer yet, which is part of the reason we're here today. What are we doing currently? We're talking with the city of Chicago, and suburban communities who are asking us and asking other people, what do you think about electric scooter sharing? How should we regulate it? Should we allow the scooters to launch? What kind of questions should we be asking? We're also talking directly with companies. Those companies you see up on the screen there will have representation out in the lobby after tonight's presentation, so you can talk with them as well, learn about their products, and please share your opinions with them and what you hope to see or hope not to see if electric scooter sharing was allowed in Chicago or in your suburb. And then finally, and most important, we're talking with all of you. So some of you we've heard already on this topic on social media, email, phone calls, finding us on the street. But we're also here tonight to collect that feedback. So I'm going to talk through some of the pros and cons of scooters as we understand it. But please talk to me, talk to Ron, talk to Jim, who you saw earlier, any member of our team afterwards, and share your thoughts and opinions tonight. We'll also be sending a survey to everybody tomorrow, activetrans.org/scooters. You can also access it using that URL, but it'll be in your email inbox to, again, continue to collect and capture that feedback. There's potential for electric scooter sharing to advance our mission, or there's potential for it to undermine our mission. And we want to make sure that it's used and regulated in a way that it promotes and advances our mission. So what are some potential benefits? A core goal of our organization, get people out of cars into more sustainable, healthy, equitable forms of transportation. What you see from how scooters are being used in other cities is that's happening to a certain degree. So you see some numbers up there. These are from Portland's scooter sharing pilot, but we've seen data from other cities as well that reflect this general trend. So there is about a third of scooter trips people are saying they otherwise would have used a car, whether that be their own car, an Uber, or a Lyft, for that trip. They're also bringing new people to the bike lane. So we know that there's a big audience of people out there who are interested in biking but nervous about biking, might feel unsafe riding in the street. So we need to continue to advocate for protected bike lane infrastructure, other types of bike infrastructure to get those people riding. There's also a group of people who aren't interested in biking, aren't physically able to bike, and we might be able to get them to get out of their car and into a scooter, and some of the data from other cities demonstrates that. For our work day to day, organizing people, signing petitions, getting people out to talk to their legislators, talk to City Hall, there's potential that we can really grow the coalition of advocates all across the city, the region, all across the country who care about our mission and care about the future of transportation. So that's also a potential benefit of electric scooter sharing. What are the downsides? Potentially. Everybody's, I think the first thing that comes to mind, riding or parking on the sidewalk. So even when it's not allowed, even when it's against the law, how are you going to enforce that? In most cities, it's not allowed, but it's still observed often. This causes issues for everybody who's walking on the sidewalk, especially people with disabilities. We want to make sure our sidewalks remain pedestrian priority spaces. Crowded bike lanes and trails. So we've seen huge biking growth in the city and the region. Is there potential for especially some of our most popular trails, our most popular bike infrastructure to get too crowded and too congested to where it becomes a safety issue? We've seen that on the Lakefront Trail, which is why we've advocated and working with the Park District on separate trails. But there's potential if we add scooters to the mix, is this going to further complicate, further mess up Really valuable, really high impact infrastructure for our city. Speeding, you know, of course bikes travel at different speeds, but there's potential for even greater variation if we introduce scooters to the mix. Generally these companies, the companies you'll hear from in the lobby, they cap their vehicles at 15 miles an hour, but there might be private scooters. Well, there are private scooters out there right now that can go faster. So how is that speed limit regulated? Where is it set? How is it enforced? These are open questions. Also just basic safety, another core goal of our organization in terms of crash reduction and eliminating fatalities and serious injuries. There's been some pretty alarming reports from where these scooter sharing pilots are running right now of increased ER visits, especially when the scooter is falling over. The lack of stability with the device itself. There's things the companies are trying to do to improve that. But how are you monitoring these companies? How are you enforcing that? A big open question. So these are some of the things that we've thought about as we've talked with the city, as we've talked with the companies, as we talked with the members. But please, if you have other thoughts and ideas, share them with us tonight. Share them with us in the survey, which will be in your inbox tomorrow. Because this conversation will continue. We know that in Chicago, the city is interested. They're having conversations through the New Mobility Task Force that Ron mentioned and through other vehicles. We have aldermen who are proactively trying to participate in this conversation, but we need to hear from all of you to strengthen our advocacy voice on this really important issue moving forward. So thank you, and I look forward to more conversations tonight and down the road.